So the first thing I'm going to say is I agree with everything everyone said already. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is happy anniversary, happy birthday, but anyway, happy celebration. And it's fantastic to be here in this event tonight and looking around the room and seeing all the wonderful people that are here. That, you know, we've got some, I've got some very close friends in the room, I've got colleagues in the room, and I've got people that I've not met before that I'm hoping to meet later on tonight, so it's great to be here. Just a few things I do want to say is when I was growing up in my household, I was christened into the Church of England, but my father was Catholic, my grandfather was Irish Catholic, and we had to live with Grandma when I was first growing up, and so I remember the rosary beads, and I also remember the discussions that we had after I'd came home from Sunday school, and those sorts of discussions. But I was always brought up to believe that you shouldn't discuss with your friends religion or politics. Stay away from those subjects, which was really strange because every tea time we discussed religion or politics. The other thing I want to say is around, as a politician, most people, and I do understand this, don't like to disclose what their faith is and they don't want to talk about it. And I can perfectly understand it, because as politicians we should be religious blind, to be honest, because it's not really what we necessarily believe in that people look to us for and assess us by. What they do is assess us by the things we say and the things we do. And only recently, in the last few days, we've been celebrating International Women's Day. And I was interviewed by some students at Sheffield University. And one of the things they were saying to me about is, you know, that we look for strong and we look for powerful women and we look for them to be extremely successful. And they said, you know, what is it that we can do to make sure women or have those sorts of attributes? And I said, but what really, really matters is not necessarily all those things about being successful and being wealthy and being well known. It's about kindness, and it's about the tolerance, and it's about the respect. So it doesn't matter what religion or what faith we are or what we believe in. It's all those things that we've talked about that we have in common. I do absolutely love the theme, what we've got in common, because I have a son who's on the autistic spectrum. And I often say many times where I've got two sons, and when they first came to me to tell me that my youngest son was different, he's got problems, he's different from my other son. And I said, why is he different? You know, they both get up in the morning, they both go to sleep, they both clean the teeth, they both love football, they both do jigsaws, they both like reading, they both write, they both play together, they both fight. They're both funny, and they are both very, very kind and considerate. They are all the things that they've got in common. The only thing that was different was one was autistic. And that, to me, is the thing that I don't see, because I see all those things that we have in common. And I know in this room tonight we have got all those things in common. The kindness, the tolerance, and the respect for each other. And long may it live. So thank you very much, Abdul. And I know all the work that you do in Sheffield, because I could talk for hours about Sheffield and how great and cohesive and inclusive it is. And as the leader of Sheffield City Council, as I say, it's not what I say, it's what I do, and I will make sure that it continues to be all those things. So thank you very much for inviting me tonight, and I hope we all have a wonderful evening.
On the name of the Almighty Allah, most merciful, most forgiving. For me, these 20 years bring joys and also bring happiness and sadness equally. But when I look back 20 years, there have been some people has worked very closely with ISB. And today, I cannot celebrate 20 years without naming a few people who has been my right hand from day one until today. They are special in my heart. They have been with me during good time and during bad time. I wish I could give them better things, but no doubt the Almighty God will bless them in this world and the next world. Now, I've been very privileged for the last 10 years, if I may say so, work very closely with the current Lord Mayor of Sheffield. I gave him headache. Sometimes he say, Abdul, I have to leave Sheffield. But I say, as long as I live, you're not allowed to leave Sheffield. He's been a great friend to me. And always he has a listening ear for me. Lord Mayor of Sheffield. There's one I ring him always at short notice, and I give him an earache. I say, you can't run away from me. Can I say a big thank you to Kari Ismail? Now I can come and knock your door for favor. In the last 20 years, I've been one who has stand on public platform, been very critical of the media. And today, I come publicly to say a big thank you to Sheffield Star. You have done justice to Islam Awareness Week. You have come to my house to interview me. You have followed Islam Awareness Week for the last 16 years in this city. I understand that the editor of Sheffield Star is here. There was something unique about Sheffield Star, which Paul License is not here. He nominated a reporter. He said, you follow Abdul. And that's something I don't know if I will have that chance again. A big thank you. Okay. 9/11 occur. Mandy Aitken, God bless her. She rang me, say, Abdul, I have arranged a meeting for you. Go to Jack Nicol. At that time, he was a bishop of Sheffield. I went to his residence. It was packed with media. And one of the questions was, you know the media are very, very clever. They say to Jack Nicol, God bless him. I asked him to come to give him his reward, his award today. He's feeling too shy. He said, I'm abroad. But he was a very memorable bishop I have come across. I work with him very, very closely. And always me, I'm not an easy guy. I never accept no for an answer. And the Lord Mayor shaking head. And amazingly, when all the media was in the Bishop Croft, he did two things. Robin Hood said it takes a brave man not to go to war. And Jack Nicol was that brave man. Because he did two things. I don't know how the Christian took it. He put his hand around my shoulder. He said, today, 9/11, while you all are saying Islam is equal to terrorism, Abdul is my brother in faith. I stood together with him, shoulder to shoulder. That was in a press conference. 2 months later, he invited me to do an exhibition in Sheffield Cathedral. And I was ashamed because that week we hold that exhibition. On the third day, the bishop was having a lot of his stick. I rang him, I said, I'm coming to see you because I'm the troublemaker. He said to me, Abdul, Jesus Christ has suffered. Peace be upon him. And me as a bishop is a test on me. The exhibition will go until it's finished. And I'm inviting you the following year to do the launch of Islam Awareness Week in Sheffield Cathedral. And this is what I'm looking in this city. We are great people. And the power is with us. How we stand together shoulder to shoulder. Whether we have faith or no faith, say no to the evil. And there's another bishop has always stand by me. And he's a formidable man. If I talk about him, I will cry. Can I call Bishop John Hawthorne? But there's another person who has worked very closely with me. Always answer my call, always ready to help me. And tonight, I can't let him go without me personally giving him this award. My executive committee, at the last meeting, they said the best thing we can do, kick Abdul out of Sheffield tonight. Because if we keep him in Sheffield, nobody will have food. My son is chasing me out. So I'll be quick. For me, has been a long, hardest road, Islam Awareness Week. I'd like to say a big thank you to my wife, Salahuddin Abdulaziz, who this weekend has been working until 3 o'clock in the morning, making the badge you all are wearing. God bless you. Thank you very much. And also, I'd like to say a big thank you to my wife. Every time meeting, every time I ask her to cook. And I thought she will kick me out, but I'm getting close to it. And I hope you all put it in your diary on the 28th of April. Join us in Bangrieve for the 10th year of Peace Walk. On Thursday, we are doing something again about cohesion. We are bringing the youth, Christian, the Baha'i, the Buddhist, the Hindu, the Sikh, together in Notre Dame School. We're going to have multi-faith youth night. Question, answers, and build relationship among the youth. And what else we're going to do to give every youth? A piece of paper. I pledge. We're going to say to the youth, you pledge to do something good for humanity. And in 6 months' time, we'll have you back. And the one who has done the best will get an award.
So I'm very happy to have Dr. Stephen Croft, who is the Bishop of Sheffield, here with us today. Good evening. Could you just tell us a bit more about some of the initiatives taking place to sort of unite or to bring together in dialogue Muslims and Anglican Christians?
Well, the faith leaders in Sheffield have been meeting together now for about 12 years. We meet together quarterly. It grew out initially of an annual photo call around election time when we stood together against extremism and especially racism of different kinds. From there, people began to get to know each other, and it's turned into a very supportive meeting about 4 times a year when we look together at a range of different things. We look at the City of Sanctuary initiative, which helps asylum seekers in the city. We look at different ways of combating extremism. That's still a very big part of our agenda. We often tell each other the stories of our own faith, and we grow together. And we generally act as a stimulus to other faith endeavours across what is a very large city. A lot of interfaith cooperation and dialogue is local, but as a group of leaders across the city, we maintain a presence and oversight and encouragement of that.
And do you think this is something which is taking place across the UK, or is it something which is more localised to Sheffield?
No, I think it's taking place in different ways across the UK, but of course all the major cities are slightly different in terms of the makeup of their different faith communities. So if you take the 3 cities of Bradford, Sheffield and Leicester, you have 3 very different communities with different balances of faith. And actually the Muslim community within each of those cities is different as well and slightly differently organised. So what we have here is organic, it's genuinely grown out of what's appropriate to Sheffield here, and it's very much based on close personal relationships and friendships. And also Sheffield is a very coherent city in terms of our civic institutions. So our civic leaders are very supportive of the different faith endeavours. They participate in the events as we have here this evening, and that gives a coherence to what the faith leaders do.
Do you think that in many ways your programme is sort of helping to combat the rise of the far right and other sort of groups, both in the UK and in Sheffield perhaps as well?
We hope so, and it certainly was the origins of the Faith Leaders Group, and from year to year we're encouraged at the degree of community cohesion across the city. The City Council set a great store on that as well. There are obvious exceptions to that and regrettable incidents in different ways, but we're encouraged by that and we're keeping working at it.
Assalamu alaikum, very happy to have Abdul Guljar, who is the president of the Islamic Society of Britain. Abdul Guljar, can you tell me a bit more about what the Islamic Society of Britain does?
The Islamic Society of Britain tried to bring all the faith together to create an understanding of each other's faith. Through that understanding, we'll have peace, cohesion, and it create a tolerant society.
And what parts of the UK is Islamic Society of Britain, rooted in?
Well, they're rooted in 25 cities up and down the country. I mean, here in Sheffield, I have been holding myself personally Islam Awareness Week for 20 years. From day one, it started in my home. Every single meeting for 20 years took place in my home with the volunteers, discussing, planning it, afterward have a meal. And we have grown from nothing, strength to strength.
You mentioned growing from strength to strength, but in 20 years, we've had many incidents happening to the British Muslim community. We've had there's 9/11, there's July the 7th. We've also had the period of Prevent and of a security state, especially affecting Muslims. Why do you think it is that you've grown from strength to strength in this time period?
I've been fortunate, the relationship I have built, as I said in my closing speech, with a church, with a synagogue, with a Hindu Gurdwara, and meeting regularly, have that regular dialogue. And people have seen my sincerity to love God and love humanity. It's the very essence of Islam is peace. And I have worked days and nights in this city to spread the words of peace, being in church, being in synagogue, being in mosque. And not to forget, at every week when I do the school assembly, I begin with a word of peace. Cherish the whole humanity. That's what we aim for. And to achieve it, we all have to work together.
Okay. Do you think your projects are doing enough to stem the rise of Islamophobic groups, racism and neo-fascism?
I myself has live and work in this city over 25 years. I have personal experience of racism, of Islamophobia, to the extent I was close of committed suicide. And that has given me the determination to work harder. And I cannot be passive, I cannot sit back. There's a lot of work need to be done. We have not reached that peak yet. And we have to have more dialogue. And we cannot sit back when we see the report. 2012, we have had 660 assault, especially on Muslim women. What does that say for our society? And with that alone, I have not achieved anything. There's a big challenge ahead of me. But for the love of God, for the love of humanity, I am ready with every inch of blood in my body to travel, to share the message of peace, loving, caring, compassion.
Okay. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Gurja.